No! Don't you even think about touching my bongos, dude. I know you were thinking it. You wanted to touch the bongos. It's okay. It's okay. Go ahead. Give it a little tap. All right, you battlers. I did manage to snag a 5-0 in Go Battle League. I really just want to be rank 10 so I can try, using a bunch of off-meta stuff and cheese teams. I'm still a battler at heart, and I am still kind of competitive. So, it's weird. I get salty when I try to use fun lines, but then I take a massive L from a meta team, and it's like, well, what did you expect?
Bruh.
The meta is the meta, right? And again, there are all the IVs. Yes, I maxed a Steelix that is 14, 14, 14. This is an old Steelix. He has seen some battles. Okie dokie, game 1 here looks like he'll be up against Felix 89. I think that's what I saw. Venusaur, literally the first open we run into is a Venusaur. I'm pretty much just going to stay in on the matchup and play with shields a little bit. He swaps into his shiny Lucario flex, which, that's definitely respectable. I'm super jealous, but at the same time, I'm really not too worried about a Lucario at all. Even though, Lucario is going to demolish, for the most part, Snorlax and Steelix, I'm not worried about it because they swapped into it and I can swap in and answer with the Giratina in this situation. So we end up Shadow Clawing down the Lucario. They come in and answer with their own Giratina. Now, I was thinking about it. I was going to counter swap back into my Snorlax, but I'm like, you know what? I don't want to have the Snorlax with one shield versus one shield have to go face up and match off against the Venusaur. So at this point, I'm just going to stay in. I'm not going to use any shields. I'll let them win this matchup, and then I'm going to have the opportunity now at this point to come in and farm down a little bit, basically. I'm going to lick down on the Giratina. And because I know he still has that Venusaur, so I'm still not going to use any shields. I'm going to need a shield for sure. I'm going to need a shield no matter what. And the opponent here has decided not to swap out either. So I'm going to dedicate to a complete lick down. I'm still not going to shield. I'm going to save that shield because now I have so much energy built up on my Snorlax that even if they come in with their own steel, for example, I can hit it with an Earthquake. So immediately, as I anticipated, when the Venusaur comes back in, it throws the Frenzy Plant in my face. I'm like, okay, this is how I got to play it. I'm going to have to tank Frenzy Plant with the Steelix. I'm going to throw the Body Slam, which I did previously from my Snorlax. And then the set I'm running on the Steelix right now is Dragon Tail, Heavy Slam, and Earthquake, because I'm going to still have coverage against the fairies this way, but also you don't really need Crunch against a Giratina. You don't really need Crunch for anything. Into the next matchup here against the almighty Hundo. Again, I'm opening up with the Snorlax. We have another flex. They open up with the shiny Alolan Muck and then they swap in with their Registeel. So at this point, I'm like, you know what? They might be baiting, but I don't want to risk it. It turns out they were not baiting. They actually did go straight Focus Blast, so it's a good thing I used that shield, and I'm going straight for the Earthquake, and that was a good shield for them as well. Now, this might seem kind of weird to you that I would bring in the Giratina Altered against the Registeel. However, it definitely does not want to go Focus Blast. I'll resist it. And the Flash Cannons, I'm not too worried about either. I know I can definitely out-spam the Registeel with my charge moves. Even though they're not very effective, I'm basically fishing for the boost against the Registeel. That's what's happening. So he comes back in with the Muck. I thought about saving that shield, but I'm like, you know what? Since I have access to Switch, I'm going to get in a few Shadow Claws, then counter swap with my Steelix, which we do. And we're able to build up some energy. I think I end up going just for the Heavy Slam. I basically just went for the bait. I don't remember if he shielded or not. Okay, so he actually did get the shield, so that was a successful bait we pulled off. And this was a mistake as well. He ended up going Gunk Shot. That was definitely a mistake. That's not going to do much of anything at all to a Steelix, so don't go Gunk Shot now. The Registeel came back in, basically took away my opportunity to land the Earthquake into it, unfortunately, but I'm going to keep fishing for the boost, which there's the boost. We got it. So now I'm just going to go Ancient Power again to see if I can get double boosted against this Registeel. We don't, but since we are boosted, that Ancient Power is going to take out the Registeel. They come back in with the Muck. Since I have the boost, it doesn't quite KO. I'm able to get off another Dragon Claw into the Kanto Muck, which I believe also does not KO. Kanto Muck is still a little chunky as well. But now I still have the good big old boy Snorlax. And at this point in the battle, I'm like, you know what? Now I'm grateful I did not TM away Earthquake and change it to Superpower, because if that was the case, there's a good chance the Giratina is going to win against me. But even if they get boosted at this point. I'm just going to deal quick massive damage with the licks, and then the Earthquake is going to finish the job. Now if you saw the timer on the battle itself, it's running down, so I'm like, ooh, they're going to get some damage out. I'm just going to throw a body slam, because if I end up with more HP, I win. And we did. On to the next battle. So they open up with the Charizard. Again, this is another matchup that I'm not too worried about, right? Because I have the Lick Body Slam with the Snorlax. What I really have to watch out for is if he's going to, if the opponent is going to play the bait game with the Blast Burn, which at that point they did not. That was not a legitimate bait. I know for a fact they did not have enough energy built up to access a Blast Burn. So I did not shield the Dragon Claw at that point. Since Fire Spin Dragon Claw does have rolling energy as a possibility, that was a good shield that I used, because it could have been a Blast Burn at that point. So I forget what they come in with next, but I have a little bit of energy built up, so I'm not too scared. And it is the Giratina. No matter what the Giratina is going to throw me right now, I'm not in KO range, so I'm just going straight for the Earthquake. If I remember, the Earthquake lands. Yes, it does. So that lands. I really needed that. That was huge. They did not use their shield, so I'm just going to lick down, let them use the rest of their energy on the Snorlax. They went for the Dragon Claw, so they were going for the KO. I probably would have fished for a bait again if I were them, but, you know, it is what it is. So they counter swap with their Swampert. When I came in with the Steelix, they went straight for the Earthquake. I did call that correctly. I needed that too. So I invested the shield, and now I'm going to be fishing for the boost again. Against the Swampert here. Now, this should definitely be an Earthquake, which I don't want to take, but again, I have no shields left at this point in the battle, but I'm just going to keep fishing for those boosts, because if I get one, which we just did, then that's bad news for the Swampert. That's very bad news. Basically, they have to land another Earthquake to even stand a chance, which I don't think I would tank another Earthquake at that. I might have tanked another Earthquake at that point, but zero to zero shields. This is GG's, hard GG's trainer. And the next opponent here, so somebody again opens with the Venusaur. Okie dokie. Looks like they're not opting to swap out immediately. I'm like, okay, interesting. I wonder what the rest of their team is based on then. So I let one Frenzy Plant land. I build up enough to do back-to-back body slams, and I basically just want to see at this point if they're going to shield both of them or not. They let the first body slam go through. Again, consecutive back-to-back body slam spams. I'm able to get it off immediately, and I'm like, okay, they're using their energy. They've already used a shield on the Venusaur. Now it's time to come in and basically do a hard farm down with the Giratina. From what I recall, I don't end up using any shields. I basically dedicate to a full farm down. Do I? No, I think I dedicate one here. Yeah, I dedicate one because I'm like, okay, they might be relying on their own Giratina matchup that they have to win this, but no. They actually brought the Ice Fang for Alligator, which I like Ice Fang for Alligator a lot. I think it's a really spicy pick. I don't have mine quite powered up to where it needs to be yet for the Ultra League, but I guess when the season hits next time for Ultra League, you'll be able to see that from me and how I would use it. But I'm just going to throw basically everything I have at the Feraligatr, and I dip out. I'm going to take a Hydro Cannon. I can tank it pretty comfortably. I mean, it takes like half my health, but I was at 100% and I still have a shield. So now at this point in this matchup, I can dedicate to a farm down with the Dragon Tail. And to see what they have in the back, it is a Steelix, interestingly enough. So I'm praying that I can get double Earthquake. If I do, it KOs. And at this point, I was like, no. If that's Earthquake or Crunch, that might KO me, but nah. It was actually Heavy Slam. So we end up taking the W with this Earthquake into their Steelix. GG's trainer. Next opponent here rocking the full Pikachu outfit. Shout out to you, Show. I don't know if you end up watching this or not, but thank you for wearing the full outfit. I love it. Brings my spirits up. So I believe here I end up shielding a Rock Slide, which is unfortunate. Then I'm like, oh no, please don't throw a Superpower right after it, which they do. They land a Superpower into the Snorlax. That's bad news for me. But kind of the good news, I guess, is that they did an aggressive swap into their Poliwrath after they landed the Superpower. So Poliwrath will build energy so quick. He'll get access to Dynamic Punch really quick. So basically, to kind of counteract that play, I just throw my Body Slams at it to do damage or take shields. And fortunately, at this point, we've taken both their shields. I still have one. Now, counterintuitively, I don't come back in with the Giratina Origin, even though it's kind of an iffy matchup. But I'd rather just come in with the Steelix, because I feel like if I call their bait, which we did, if we call a bait on an Ice Punch between a Dynamic Punch, that's going to be bad news for them, which, you know, they kind of had to at that point based on the comp that I had left. because this shield advantage that I have is really, really bad news for them, especially since they had the Melmetal, which we took out at this point. But now I can come back in with the Giratina altered, and you know, the Ice Punch, again, it's going to deal super effective, but it's not like it's not a TKO, right? It's not a Blizzard. It's not a Moon Blast. It's nothing that's going to TKO Giratina at all. So don't be too worried about it, but you do still need to be a little careful. If you get too ballsy with an Ice Punch Poliwrath, it can sweep you, and the Dynamic Punch can sweep you as well. So they had a very, very strong pick and a very, very strong team against my team. I think the only reason I ended up coming on top is because I played a little better with calling a bait. Basically, I gambled on that, and it did end up paying off. So again, Show, I don't know if you watch this, but if you do, GG's. Again, thanks for wearing the full Pikachu outfit, and this was satisfying throwing the Earthquake at the Poliwrath for the W. That was it for the full 5-0. You know, again, the line's pretty core meta. There's nothing too spicy or anything about it, but I think with the movesets that I opted for to keep Earthquake on the Snorlax and also to run the Dragon Tail Heavy Slam, Earthquake Steelix is really what kind of threw people off a little bit. And as always, subscribe if you feel my vibe, and power up punch the notification bell for all the PvP content. Battlers, have a good stinking day.